I'm Derek.
And welcome to I Know You with Derek and Jamie, the podcast where two friends recommend something to watch based around a weekly theme. Could be a movie, TV show, miniseries, podcast, anything.
Also, we always have a themed bonus segment where we discuss anything.
Start over. That's going to be a bitch to edit.
Fuck you. Also, we have a themed bonus segment where we discuss anything from current news stories to dream fan castings to random recommendations. The possibilities are endless. We also end each show with some fucking mini games, so stick around for that. How was that, Jamie, for your fucking edit? I love it. Keep going.
Today's theme is big, beefy athlete boys. We chose this theme because Space Jam 2 just came out on the 16th, and we thought it was very appropriate to choose some other things with big, beefy athlete boys in it. So I suggested the TV show Better Late Than Never, Season 2, Episode 4, 5, and 6.
And I suggested Kazam, because why not? And just a disclaimer before we jump in, there will be spoilers. Not really, I don't think, for Jamie's show, because can't really have spoilers in that one. But definitely for Kazam, big spoilers in that film, so listen at your own risk. Unless you've seen these or just don't care, you probably shouldn't care about spoilers for these. So just enjoy our comedy. Let's get on with it.
Let's do it. Okay, what have you been up to, Derek?
I've been recording this show. For those of you who don't know, we just recorded a bonus episode. So this episode might get a little out there. We haven't done it a lot, but anytime we record 2 episodes at once, the second thing we record is always a little bit more loopy than normal.
Yeah, we're already comfortable and in our seats, and we've talked a lot already, but the bonus episode was a lot of fun. Let me just say that. If you guys haven't listened to it, go check it out. And we succeed at 6 degrees, so go check that out.
Yes, we did succeed at 6 degrees. For those of you who listened to our first attempt at playing that game, we definitely did not succeed.
I think it took 15 or 16 things. I wrote it all down when I was editing, and I was like, good God, we're terrible.
This one we actually did, and we kind of did it surprisingly, I'm very glad you got it. I wasn't sure if you were going to get it, but you got it.
I've been doing a lot of planning is what I have been doing. At the end of this week, I'm going to Disney for a day, going down to Epcot, going to drink around the world, and then going to see Derek for the first time since New Year's in August for his engagement party.
You say see me for the first time, like we don't Skype every week and stuff.
See you in person.
Yeah. We talk almost every day in Snap and stuff. We never talk and see each other anymore. But yeah, it's the first time we actually see each other since New Year.
And then in September, Matt and I just booked a trip to travel around New England.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're flying into Boston. Yeah, it's around my birthday. We're flying into Boston and then flying out of New York.
That's kind of our next couple weeks. And yeah, our summer too is we have my nephew's second birthday next week. 2 weeks after, Katie has to go up to New Jersey to get her license renewed. She still has a New Jersey's license. And then a couple weeks after that, like you said, we'll be seeing you guys out in Georgia. And then a couple weeks after that, I might be seeing my parents from Wisconsin. They want to make a trip down. And then a couple weeks after that, my parents want to do another trip and then another trip. And then I have a couple weddings. I have 2 weddings, 2 weekends in a row in October. It's crazy stuff.
All right, let's jump into our suggestions.
Yeah, let's do it.
I am going first this week.
I believe you are, yes.
All right, so my suggestion was Better Late Than Never, Season 2, Episode 4, 5, and 6.
And before you get into it, I will say, I actually have seen one episode of this before. I didn't remember it until halfway through my first episode.
Oh, okay.
My parents put this on one time when I was visiting them for Thanksgiving or Christmas or something. And this was on in the background. And it was, I think, Season 2, Episode 1, because it was in Munich, I believe.
Yeah,
which was that episode.
Okay, so my ratings for these. It's really hard to rate something like this because we've never done this before. This is a reality show.
This one was actually hard to give ratings for me, especially objective competence. I didn't know exactly how to rate that.
So I did it based on just reality shows. So for that, I guessed a B- for objective competence. Personal enjoyment, I think Derek chuckled at it. I guessed a 7. And then rewatchability, I put a 2 because I feel like maybe if he's with his parents and they put it on, he'll watch it, or even just a background show, or if he's traveling and he's like, I kind of want to see what they did in this place. He'll watch it. So those are my guesses: a B-, a 7, and a 2. Now, the info on this, it's really hard to do like infos and summaries and stuff on these.
Yeah.
So the info of Better Late Than Never, the first season aired on NBC in 2016, and then season 2 aired in 2018, and then it was canceled. Actors Henry Winkler and William Shatner, sports analyst and former NFL quarterback Terry Bradshaw, Olympic gold medalist George Foreman, and comic Jeff Dye leave the glamorous life behind as they embark on an international adventure in hopes to have a life-changing experience, taking part in local traditions and trying exotic foods, all while checking items off their bucket list. And the summary, literally, episode 4, they're in Berlin, 5, they're in Barcelona, and 6, they're in Madrid.
You don't really need to get into summaries of what they did in each one.
We'll bring up a lot of stuff, I'm sure. But before you say anything about this show, do you watch any travel style content, whether it's YouTube, TV, documentaries, or anything like that?
Honestly, not really. Any YouTube travel stuff, it'll usually like have to do with theme parks and stuff. Like I'd watch people who do go to like theme parks, especially if I'm like gearing up for a trip to one of them. Katie watches a lot of travel people.
Yeah, Katie watches Kara and Nate, which is a couple that I watch.
Right. You probably know more about the people she watches than I do. I'd say like House Hunters International. That's like the travel shows that I watch.
Oh my God, you never watched Anthony Bourdain?
Not really.
Expedition
no.
Unknown?
No, I didn't really watch any travel shows. I don't know. Like I have to be really in the mood and like really want to know about a place. Just never really piqued my interest that much. And then, when you add 4 old guys...
It really doesn't pique your interest.
Doesn't really add much to pique my interest. Not to say anything like terrible about this show, but the entire time I'm watching, I'm like, this is just, how there are those films and sometimes shows where it's just like actors or rich people who just want to like go on vacation and get paid for it so that, get a script together and get some people to go with them and fly out and film a movie out somewhere like super nice and then spend an extra month there just relaxing.
No, I don't know that.
No, you don't know anything about that. Nope. This is like the ultimate version of that. There's not even a premise to the show of like, oh, they're going to do this crazy thing or they have to do this in this time. It's just, no, literally the premise of the show is we're going to go on vacation. We're just going to go. And it's like better late than never. I'm like, these people have traveled before.
Yeah, but not like this. They haven't traveled like this in a group of like their peers and friends and then just a random comic, Jeff Dye.
Yeah, I don't know what hit, like...
I was going to say, what did you think of Jeff Dye?
Who the hell is... I looked him up and I'm like, who is this person?
He's just a comic.
It's so weird. Like, so much of it seems staged and scripted.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, some parts had to be scripted and others weren't. Like, maybe it was more scripted in, like, what they were doing, but not what they had to say while they were doing it,
Right.
That's what I got from that.
Okay, so the first one, which was in Berlin, they have Henry Winkler keep bringing up how his parents escaped Berlin, like, right before his uncle was taken by the Nazis, and, like, how his uncle died in the concentration camp, and it was real somber, and it was real sad. And they just kept talking, like, oh, and he's like, I really hope I can see their apartment sometime while I hear.
And, like, walk down a street that they would walk down, yeah.
No, like, they're not going to not show it. They're not going to have a big special moment at the end, and then, sure enough, there's a big special moment. And it was nice, and it was heartfelt, but I'm like, no one was surprised by this. I'm like, Henry Winkler knew it was coming, right? Like,
the thing is, they filmed the sit down talking to the camera parts after the trip. They were just like, this is what's going to happen in the show. Like, this is a big thing you're waiting to see. And I believe that, like, they were like, here, walk down this road and look for stuff. But I don't think he was prepared to see the plaque on the ground and have the letter from his children. I don't think he was expecting either of those. He knew they were going to do that because that was the whole point of going to Berlin, was to find Henry Winkler's, like, past.
Right. Yeah, I don't think he expected the letter from the kid. Then I think the letter really got to him.
But some parts were definitely not scripted. Like, I went stalking on their Instagrams to try and, like, go down and see if I could find videos from when they were on these trips, but most of them didn't have social media then. They do now, but they didn't then. But Jeff Dye did, and he had a video on there of when Terry was getting waxed in Barcelona.
Yeah, okay.
Like, when you're watching the show, you can see Henry Winkler recording on a phone, and it's a video. All of that was not scripted. And him, like, their reactions and what they were doing, that was hilarious. Like, this is literally what happened.
What about, like, the monastery when they're in, I think that was Madrid, I think, right?
Yeah, that felt a lot more scripted. That definitely wasn't a real monk. That couldn't have been a real monk.
Right? right? Like, I'm like, they're not being this disrespectful to this dude, right? Like, they got the go ahead, or like, this monk is like, he's either okay with it, with the filming, and he's on the up and up, or like, this isn't another actor, or they're just really testing this dude's patience, because holy shit, they were so mean to that monk.
Yeah, some scenes like that, I don't know if they like actually stayed in the monastery, but they were showing that that's how the monasteries there work if you're a monk. I think they just added like the comic aspect to it.
I think there could have been more, because honestly, I'm thinking like, who like greenlit this show?
It's actually based on, I believe, a Korean show.
Okay.
So they did like a remake of it American style.
So it just seems so like, it's the ultimate boomer show.
Which is weird because I love it. I love this show.
You love it? Really?
I love this
like,
show.
For me, it's a background show. I will say, I didn't just sit there and watch the show. I was either playing video games or drawing or literally just watching Community while I was watching this show.
That doesn't count. You can't do that.
I couldn't just sit there and watch it. I couldn't devote my entire brain to this show. I didn't need to. There was nothing that I missed in like not devoting my entire mind, body, and spirit to this show. I'm sorry to say. It is nothing but like dad jokes mixed with like a YouTube travel show. Oh, don't make that face.
It bums me out that you don't sit and watch the show. I had sat through and watched a bunch of your stuff.
I watched the show. I had my headphones in so I could only hear the show. Okay, when I watched Community, I wasn't like watching Community. That was just on in the background. And then NBC.com, every commercial break was like 3 minutes. So I was like, okay. And I just like, I literally had like my laptop and I was like watching that. And then when the commercials came on, I'd be like, lean over, watch Community. And then I'd be like, oh, it's back. They're making a joke on Community. I'm like, oh, wait. Okay, it's back. Okay, it's back. Like, so many dad jokes. So many dad jokes.
I love them. They were so funny, though.
Some of them, like, you'd get a chuckle from me. Some of them, like we were talking about in the, maybe not a laugh, like we were talking about in the bonus episode, but every now and again. I will say, when George Foreman came out, I think it was either Madrid or Barcelona with the giant head parade.
Yeah, when he had the chicken.
And he comes out with the chicken head, and they're like, why'd you pick chicken? He's like, because chicken goes great on the George Foreman grill. I'm like, motherfucker. All right. You know, always gotta be hustling. Like, he's always propping that, always boosting it.
I feel like George Foreman was so out of place with the other guys.
He seemed like he felt like half the time he just like would look around and be like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah.
Why am I with these people?
But he's like one of the funnier ones. Like when he talked, he was hilarious.
He doesn't talk much, but yeah, when he talks, it's
like
good.
That makes me curious. Like I wonder how good of friends these guys like really are and if they still keep in touch and stuff. Like I know Jeff really Dye hangs out with Terry Bradshaw a lot. Like I saw that on his social media. But the other guys, William Shatner, I kept getting thrown off when they kept calling him Bill.
Yeah, that was weird.
So I watched 1, 2, and 3, and there was this bit in there where they were talking to William Shatner and they were calling him Bill. And Jeff Dye like looks at him and he goes, I've always known you as like William Shatner. And he goes, let's keep it that way.
Oh, here's a question.
Yeah.
Why is there so much naked old men in this show? In the 3 episodes we watched, I think there was like Terry Bradshaw had his nuts out like 3 separate times. One of them might have been an accident. I'm not 100% sure if his shorts falling off while he was parasailing was an accident. The other time, apparently, he was just wearing a robe and comes to sit with his friends and just sits nice and wide, but let it all air out. And then when they're doing the clay modeling, Henry Winkler comes out completely naked. I'll say that's another moment that really got me when he goes up to Terry Bradshaw and he's like, "What do you? Let's see what you're making here. Let's see what's going on." And he's like, "Thank you. I needed your penis resting on my leg. Thank you. I needed that."
I don't know. I think it was more so for comedy things. Like, I don't think they were actually naked. Like, maybe they had, like, Speedos on or something. I don't know.
You don't think he was actually naked?
I really don't know.
For any, like, even with, like, the shorts falling off of the parasailing?
I don't think he was naked.
Okay, see, if he wasn't naked, then it was then that whole thing was staged. Like, obviously it was staged to go parasailing, but it felt super staged then. I don't know. I think they were naked. I'll say it definitely in the room with Terry Bradshaw's spread eagle. Like, why wouldn't he just be like...
Yeah, Terry Bradshaw seems like the kind of guy who doesn't give a fuck.
Right. And he's like, I'll walk around in my robe without any underwear. And sometimes when I sit down, my balls will be out.
See, he's naked in a lot more episodes than just that. Like in the Munich one, he was naked in the park. He just walks up naked and they're like, oh my God.
Oh, speaking of the park, I just love how I can't remember Madrid or Barcelona, but like they get to, I think it was Barcelona, they get there and he's like, well, Barcelona's famous for having this giant tomato festival and this tomato fight. So I just thought, why not do it right now? Just buys like 2 crates of tomatoes and just starts chucking them at him. I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
And then Terry Bradshaw is like, I'm gonna get so much shit for standing 4 feet away from William Shatner and missing him with a tomato.
Yeah, he just completely like whomps.
No, but when they were in Barcelona and got the masks, and they had a Terry Bradshaw mask with his missing tooth, and then one of them said, "You look like White Shrek." There's so many funny like it's such a lighthearted, feel good, easy to watch. Like, yeah, background show, but it's fun. Like, these guys are having fun.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, but the entire time I'm watching it, and it just always comes back to these people are having fun, but they're just getting paid to go on vacation. I want to go have fun. I don't want to watch 4 old people who could easily afford, like, there's so many times where they're like, oh, don't worry, I'll get this one, guys. I got it. And I'm like, okay, even if you guys are paying for it, you know, all of you are writing everything that's paid for on these trips off. You are not paying a dime for anything on this trip.
I don't know.
Like, they could write it off on their taxes then so easily. Like, it's all a business expense. Everything's a business expense if it's for a TV show. Every hotel, every food. Like, I get it's crazy and it's kind of cool seeing like these places and stuff, but I'd rather probably watch like the YouTube people doing this stuff. Because one, they're usually on a budget, so they usually kind of give you tips and stuff on how to do trips like this on a budget, which is kind of cool.
This show is more so to like show some of the culture and show popular things to do, but also them having those experiences. Like Henry Winkler had that experience. There was another episode where Terry Bradshaw, they were in Stockholm and he's Scandinavian, so they went to like a Viking place and they did Viking stuff. And then another episode they went to Lithuania and William Shatner is from Lithuania, and George Foreman met the family of the boxer from the Olympics in the gold medal fight. He met his family from Russia. They all flew into Lithuania to see him because the guy kept telling George to come and visit him, and he was like, yeah, I will, but then he passed away and he didn't get a chance to visit him. So
oh, dang.
It's a lot of these experiences that they're able to share with each other. Yeah. Is a lot of what this season is about.
I just can't get over Jeff Dye. Like, who is Jeff Dye? What is he doing there? Like, I feel like they needed one person who actually knew how to do like modern technology and stuff so they could get him like through places. I don't know.
I mean, on the show, when it says who's in the show, it says Jeff Dye, the sidekick.
Right, yeah.
He's just there to make jokes.
It's kind of like a host.
Yeah.
Even like there's not really like the need for a host.
But him and Terry Bradshaw's just dynamic was so funny. They're just cracking jokes constantly back and forth.
But a lot of them were just bad dad jokes.
No, when they were hanging out in the monastery and they were talking about farting in front of their wives, and Terry's talking about that. He's like, I've never farted in front of my wife and she thanked me, and it's like really big. And then Jeff Dye just like lets one rip in front of him and he's like, you sick son of a bitch.
That sounded like a fake fart to me too.
I think the fart noise was added, but he definitely farted because you wouldn't be able to hear that fart.
But yeah, they probably didn't hear it. But they put in such a fake, like either go all the way and make it like super fake, but this one just sounded like in between, like, oh, we couldn't get a good enough one. I don't know. It's
really weird for me to watch these because I watched them when they came out, I believe, in 2018. And then I went to Europe and I've been to these places. Like the only place in the 3 episodes we watched I didn't go was Madrid, but I've been to Berlin. I've been to Barcelona. It's so weird to like watch them and have actual context of where these places are.
That'd be kind of cool, yeah.
Like in the Berlin episode, they kept showing like a tall spire tower, not the massive one with like the ball at the top, but the victory tower with like a angel at the top of it. That gives me such PTSD because we literally walked from the Brandenburg Gate down to that. It was like a 30 maybe 45-minute walk. It seemed a lot closer, but it wasn't. We walked all the way down there, had to figure out how to get to it because it's in the middle of a roundabout. So we had to go underneath. We found tunnels underneath and we got to it. And we went in to go and walk up the tower and see all of Berlin. They only took cash. Nearest ATM, down by the Brandenburg Gate. So FYI, if you ever want to go to the Victory Tower, you have to walk there because it's in a roundabout. You can't just park there, and then you have to pay cash. Very annoying. But yeah, watching the Barcelona stuff, the climbing the tower, the human towers that they do, they have like sculpture in Barcelona of that because that is something that they legitimately do. And it's really cool to see the cultures and everything.
Nothing really did it for me. It was just all kind of like, yeah, it's I guess like somewhat enjoyable and not really getting like super bored or upset at it. It just didn't really do anything for me. Just like, why am I watching this?
Because Jamie told you to.
Yep, exactly.
The one scene that really, really cracked me up was the bullfighting scene in Madrid.
That one got you?
He thought that there was going to be bulls coming out and they were inflatables. Like the guys pulled that prank on Jeff Dye. Right. He did not know that there was going to be inflatable bulls coming out.
You couldn't possibly think they're actually going to like let loose a live bull. Like, because even if they did, like, he'd just run immediately to the fence. Like, he's not going to stand there and be like, all right, I'm going to wait a minute. No, you're running the second that thing's opens.
I cracked up. Just their commentary on it was funny. The one thing that really bugged me, like you have your issues with the show, but the thing that bugged me about this show was the food. And like, I understand not liking something, but to show disgust for a culture's food, I think is very rude. Like, why not show them eating food that they actually enjoy? Like, I get that it's supposed to be funny and that William Shatner and George Foreman were fine. They were eating the food, but Terry Bradshaw, Henry Winkler, and Jeff Dye were being just like over the top about this stuff. Like, I get they're eating testicles and brains and like the head of a pig and tongue and stuff, but you're insulting a culture, especially when they were at that restaurant in Madrid where it's like the super popular chef.
Wait, are you talking about the one with the chef who's like with the food science stuff?
Yes.
Okay, I don't feel bad about them making fun of that guy.
I do, because they made fun of him like in front of him.
Well, I mean,
like that is a specific kind of culinary and they went to it to eat it.
Yeah, I know.
To go there and make fun of the guy in front of him and like on national TV is just rude.
I guess it is, but at the same time, like, who thought those men were gonna like that?
I just wish they had been more respectful.
Those men were going to like anything like that. It was William Shatner who brought them there, right? He was the one who suggested that one.
Think so.
Because he was the one who was liking everything and everyone else was like,
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish they'd gotten more into like more traditional, because they seemed to go like, this is like the biggest place here and let's have stuff there. And they'd get like the biggest, most extreme stuff in the culture, but they wouldn't get like the small, more intimate stuff from each country,
I think it's more so to do with marketing.
Right.
Maybe the ones who got on the show paid to be on the show.
It all seems like a marketing thing. I keep bringing it back to it, but it's so hard for me to get out of my mind when I watch it. And even like the little moments that get a chuckle or get me laughing, and just immediately brought back to like, oh yeah, this is just 5 guys who got to go on vacation for free.
So you keep saying that, but that's what all travel shows are. Not YouTube travel shows. Those people pay, but they also get paid to make those videos. But TV shows like Anthony Bourdain, Exploration Unknown, any other travel TV shows, these people, it's their job to go and do that.
Right.
You watch reality TV, all those people get paid.
But the difference here, so one, maybe that's why I don't like that as much. And the difference here is those people are professional travelers, they do that for a living and they like get into this. These 4 people, like maybe the exception of Jeff Dye, they don't have to work at all for the rest of their life. They could all just retire right now and have a super luxurious lifestyle and could just travel and stuff. And I'm not saying they shouldn't decide to do this, because, who wouldn't say, like, when you're in like your 60s or 70s, be like, hey, you want to travel around the world for free? Want to go around the world and get paid to do it? I think most people would say yes.
Yeah, and it's fun to watch because it's so different from any other type of travel show, because it's super comical. It's 4 old guys doing it, which you don't usually watch travel shows to see 4 old guys. You're watching it for them. You're not necessarily watching it for the travel. You're watching it for the people on it.
For me, you're grossly overstating the amount of comedy in this show. At least for me. In the roughly 3 hours that we watched, I had 2 moments that got me to laugh. But other than that, everything just felt very forced to me.
See, I love dad jokes. We've been over this, Derek, you and me. I love just silly things. It cracks me up so much. And it's not your style because I've tried to use some funny jokes on you and you're just like, that's not funny.
If you enjoy the comedy as much as Jamie does, I can obviously see you enjoying this. But for me, I just can't.
Okay. Well, then who would you recommend it to under that?
I'd recommend it to who really enjoy these celebrities and want to watch them go on vacation. That's about it.
All right. Back to the guesses. I guessed a B- for objective competence based on reality show.
I gave it a C+.
Okay, so I was 1 off.
Yeah, like I said, there was a lot that felt like staged/scripted, and I feel like even for travel shows, they could have done more about getting into more specifics about the actual countries they were in.
Personal enjoyment, I guessed a 7 because I thought you might laugh at this, but you're laughing at it, not with it.
Yeah, I'm laughing at it, and even those laughs are only a couple times, so my personal enjoyment was only a 4 out of 10.
Okay. And rewatchability, I put a 2.
I guessed a 2. Or I didn't guess a 2. I put a 2.
I guess I put a 2.
I guess I put a 2. I don't know. I can't read it, even though it's typed. No, I put a 2 because, like you said, if someone else put this on, especially in a background kind of way, I wouldn't be like, no, I hate that. Oh my God. I'd let it put them on.
Okay.
All right.
So I was off by 4.
4. It's going to be difficult to beat. I think I got it because my film is Kazam. Ooh, man. Yeah.
Oh, God.
All right. So for objective competence, I guessed Jamie is going to give this a D. For personal enjoyment, I'm guessing she gave this a 3 out of 10. And for rewatchability, I'm going to guess a 2. I think she might put it on again if someone maybe suggests a drinking game or something out of this. So Kazam was released in 1996 and was directed by Paul Michael Glazer and stars Shaquille O'Neal, Francis Capra, Ali Walker, John Costello, James Aikson, Fawn Reed, and Marshall Manesh. 1996's Kazam follows Shaquille O'Neal in his first starring role as a genie that is inadvertently released by a troubled kid from Brooklyn. Kazam must then grant the kid any 3 wishes while juggling his rap career and discovering his first friend. Kazam has a reputation as not the best film, to put it gently. It only made $19 million on a $20 million budget and currently holds a 5% on Rotten Tomatoes. Famed film critic Roger Ebert gave the film 1.5 stars, writing, "Here Shaq shows he can be likable in a children's film. What he does not show is good judgment in his choice of material. The filmmakers didn't care to extend themselves beyond the obvious commercial possibilities of their first dim idea." So, Jamie, what did you think of Kazam?
I hated it. I hated the fucking kid. I hated the dad. I hated Kazam. I hated the bad guy. I hated the premise. I hated the story. I hated the effects. I hated the rap. I hated everything.
Damn.
You have had bad suggestions for me personally before, but this one, I have not hated anything as much as I hated this one.
I mean, I knew you weren't going to like it. I might even guessed a little too high with my guesses. I don't know. We're going to see. I knew you weren't going to I knew you weren't going to like this film. I didn't suggest this film with any inclination to thinking either of us were going to enjoy it. You don't suggest Kazam for that. That's not what this film is for. Yes, it is very stupid. Like the premise says, Shaquille O'Neal plays Kazam, who's a 5,000-year-old genie who somehow, when his lamp, which is for some reason in Brooklyn, gets knocked over when a building's getting torn down, he gets thrown into a boombox, and then when he get released, this kid gets him, and then this kid takes him to a rap concert venue / office building / music producer studio that also no, because he is a legitimate producer, right? They're legitimate producers.
Think so. What I got was that they were club owners who recorded the musicians singing or rapping, and then they sold that.
Them live.
illegally.
Is that even illegal?
If you illegally record someone and then distribute it without their consent.
I guess, yeah. Okay. I was so confused by that. I've seen this film once before we watched it for this, and just have like fever dreams of memories of it. Yeah, that was honestly so, and it's a kid's film. That is so hard and like uninteresting to a kid. And oh my God. Yeah, this movie is terrible, everyone. It's
Don't watch this movie, people.
I'll say I can find tiny bits of enjoyment in Shaq's performance, but that's it. Like, that's the only thing that's slightly enjoyable about this film.
The only characters that I liked was the mom and Travis, because I felt so bad for them of how they were being treated by Max. That little kid is a piece of shit.
The kid's an asshole.
He's such an asshole. The second he meets his dad, he idolizes his dad, and he's this great thing, but his dad does nothing for him, and he's a dick to his mom and her boyfriend, and it's just stupid.
I don't get his relationship with the bullies in the film. The kid has a set of bullies that kind of terrorize him. Well, kind of, not really. But like, he wants their respect too, and he like wants to get in good with them the entire time.
Which doesn't make any sense.
And it's not like just to protect himself either, but it doesn't go anywhere. And
like, why does he tell the bullies that there's a tape worth a lot of money that they can go and get, or that he can go in there and record a rap right now?
It makes no sense. That's my first note, is the story doesn't make any sense. Also, like, the magic is inconsistent. Like,
it really is.
Like, half the time when the kid calls for Kazam, either Kazam can, like, hear him and then gets, like, a ringing in his ear, or, like, the kid teleports to Kazam through, like, the water glass, which was frightening.
Like, what?
I'm like, okay, I guess but then later in the film when he does it, Kazam just magically gets teleported to him.
But, like, Max was dead, and he wished him back to life.
Yeah, he became Jin.
But he wasn't free.
Maybe because he like killed his last master and Max was dead, he was free.
It makes no sense.
You know what also makes no sense? At the end, Shaquille O'Neal says he's like, I found my first real friend in you, Max, right?
How was the kid a friend?
Which also doesn't make sense, because when he explains the story of how he became a genie, he had a best friend who apparently also became a genie. So what the fuck? Where is that other genie? He definitely had friends. And the raps are so terrible.
They're so cringy when Kazam and Max were rapping.
Yeah. What do you know about rap? I know a little something about rap. Like, no, kid, no. And the best line ever, let's green egg and ham it.
Oh my God.
I
did not want to watch this movie. Like, we were meant to record yesterday, and I was going to watch it yesterday morning, and then I was like, ooh, I don't have to watch it tomorrow morning. But then last night I was like, God, I have to fucking watch this movie at some point. I put it off till the last second because I did not want to watch it. And the entire time I was just like, ugh. Why?
Yeah, like, everything is bad. Like, how does the villain there's no explanation why the villain knows Shaq is a genie. Like, he sees the sparks fly out of his boombox and he's like, yes, clearly genie.
Well, he had the videotape of when they just appeared in that room looking for the cassette.
Oh, okay. But still, you could explain that. Like, what? You wouldn't go, your first thought wouldn't be genie.
Genie.
Genie. Clearly it's a genie. Clearly magic is happening here.
The bad guys, they were all a group of adults just laughing at the fact that they killed a child. They were literally sitting there laughing when Kazam comes up. They're like, where's Max? They're like, I'm your master now. He fell down this shaft. It's like, you just killed a fucking kid.
Like, how you're fucking doing bootlegging thing. You're not that evil, are you? Like, what?
And when the bad guy was like, wish that I have all the money in the world. And then he's like, well, then it won't be worth anything if no one has any money. And he's like, well, I'll redistribute it. I'm like, what?
What the fuck? So this came out in 96. This is obviously just a crash grab meant to bank in on Aladdin's fame, right? Because that came out in like 92, 93.
When did Space Jam come out?
Space Jam?
Yeah, because Michael Jordan went to Space Jam. Shaq did Kazam. Because it could have been Disney's grab at having an athlete in a movie.
Same year. So I think it was more off of Aladdin. I mean, maybe that's why they got Shaquille O'Neal. Maybe the movie was like, well, we need a genie movie because Aladdin was so huge.
It doesn't make sense to me, though, because they're both Disney. Was this Disney released when it came out?
I don't think it was Disney released necessarily.
Oh, okay.
I think just Disney owns it now because, Disney owns everything.
Okay, then yeah, maybe they were trying to do genie stuff because I was relating it a lot back to Aladdin. I was like, they're definitely trying to get Aladdin vibes.
With the whole thing of the guy getting like the genie and the genie kind of becoming his master at the end, even though that's not really at all what happens. Like he tries to pull a Jafar, but it like doesn't work, but it doesn't explain why it doesn't work. Shaq can just be like, fuck you, I'm Shaq, I'm doing what I want.
Why did Kazam's hand go through the guy and then it didn't go through the guy anymore?
I don't know. Why was he rusty at magic at the beginning? Why did he blow himself up? Why did no one think it was weird that this giant like 7-foot tall man is following this like 10-year-old kid around everywhere?
Why did his mom believe that was a tutor from his school just showed up in her kitchen in the morning? There's so many issues with this. Like I said at the very beginning, I hated the kid. The kid was the worst character in movie history. Like I can't even explain how annoying he is. He's not likable. Even at the end, he didn't redeem himself. He's just a brat the whole movie.
There's one moment where their mom is like, Max, could you just once let me have the last word? And I'm like, oh my God, I feel for her so much right now.
What 12-year-old is running around New York City and has their own like alleyway dirt bike ramps hangout spot? Like, what the hell was that?
Right. Like no one else comes across that. He just like puts a bunch of, it was the 90s. They thought kids could do anything and everything back then. So
the product placement made me laugh though, like how blaringly obvious it was with the Pepsi can and the Sunny D and the candy bars and the Happy Meals.
Yeah, the stuff raining from the sky. Like that whole scene was just like a freaking product placement wet dream.
I know.
Just everything. It was great. So wanted to ask, do you think this film deserves a remake?
No.
Like I'm not saying with Shaq, maybe he could have a cameo, but like remake kind of like a modern Aladdin, like a genie in the modern day, maybe give it an actually like infuse some like hip hop and rap into there, kind of like they did with like the Black Panther soundtrack or so many other soundtracks, but not the rap that they even by like 90s standards, this wasn't good rap. It was so bad. It was Disney Channel rap.
They would literally have to redo the whole story, like not have this story at all, but doing a modern day kid finding a genie is doable. It's just not this story. This is the dumbest story. Like, he became a rapper. He became human after he finished.
But he wasn't a human, though. He was even like a more powerful genie, right? He was Jinn, which could do like the material magic as well as the ethereal magic. But then he was just human. Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense. I just can't wait for our next one where I can suggest more Shaquille O'Neal stuff. There's a couple other movies I got cooking up.
There was just one of the things that creeped me out, because not only was it a cringy movie, it was a creepy movie. One, Shaq waking up in the kid's bed. That's creepy. Right. And then him putting his whole hand on this kid's face, like...
And just, like, smothering him.
And then in the scene where he thought, like, where the kid is dead, you just see the kid laying there on the ground, and then Shaq's hand just slowly comes into frame and, like, touches the kid's face. It's just so weird. Like, why do they keep touching the kid's face?
This whole film was just one bad idea. Someone just kept letting happen.
It really is like a fever dream.
It honestly is like, did that happen? Did I really watch that? Did I really watch Shaquille O'Neal be a rapping genie? I don't know. Guess I did.
So at the end of the film, how was Travis allowed to leave the fire? He was like, aren't you coming, Travis? And he's like, yeah, I guess so. But Travis is a firefighter working the fire. Why is he allowed to just leave?
I don't know.
Makes no sense. I hate that you told me to watch this movie.
Right. His dad's like basically abusive to him too.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's one thing. Like, I don't understand how his dad was given a second chance when he literally got arrested.
Right.
Like, Kazam could have made him not get arrested since he was Jinn.
His dad could have just done that at any time.
I know.
He didn't do anything. Like, honestly, like, he really, like, Kazam really didn't do anything. You could have just had this venomous story about a kid who meets his estranged father and convinces him to, like, back out of a life of crime. And, like, by like having the kid almost die from the life of crime, and like the dad turns himself in on the end, and the only difference would have been the kid would not have gotten the hot chocolate in the last scene. Everything else would have turned out the same. I don't know what else to say about the movie, honestly. Like, you can't really talk about the story because it makes no fucking sense. They're like, nothing's good. Like, that it's not shot well. It doesn't look pretty. There's nothing except maybe occasionally Shaq's performance and just the sheer like absurdity of it. That's it. You're right. And do you have anything else?
The last thing I have to say about this, that it was super problematic in the scene where this little white kid told Kazam that he owns him.
Yeah.
Super problematic there.
I'm like, this seems a little...
kick it today.
A little pulling on the neck shirt. Just, oh, jeez.
Well.
Oh, my. I was also going to say, the best line in the film is Shaq, when they're first talking about Jinn, he's like, Jinn only exists in fairy tales, and I don't believe in fairy tales. He's like, you're a fucking genie.
You're a genie.
And the kid's like, I don't believe in fairy tales either. You got a genie next to you. What do you mean you don't fucking believe in fairy tales? Wouldn't you like instantly believe in all the fairy tales that happen with this? Okay.
There's so many things that don't make sense. Like, Shaq was the reason behind Pompeii. Someone wished for the volcano to go off, and he did Pompeii. Like, that's fucked up.
It's like the genie in Aladdin. You just gotta do what the master says. All right, so who would you recommend this for, Jamie?
Someone who just wants to get any type of wasted and watch a stupid thing.
Any type of non-sober and just...
Yes, that's literally the only thing I can think is who would watch this movie? Fucked up people.
Fucked up people, or if you have to watch it for a podcast or YouTube show of some sort. That's about it.
That's about all.
Let's remind everyone of my guesses. So, for objective competence, I guessed Jamie would give Kazam a D.
I gave it an F+.
Okay.
Terrible acting, terrible story, all of it terrible. The only thing I was like, okay, was mainly because I didn't want to shit on the beginner level college person doing the special effects, because that might like hurt their self-esteem if they heard me shitting on it.
Which, okay, again, if the person was college level when this came out, that was 25 years ago or 27 years ago, my bad.
Still.
So, and then personal enjoyment, I guess a 3 out of 10.
And I gave it a 2. The only thing that kept it from a 1 was the mom and Travis.
All right. And then for rewatchability, I guess a 2.
If I could give it a 0, I would. I wish I had never seen this movie, but because it's a scale of 1 to 5, I'm giving it a 1.
I think that means we tied.
We tied the first time ever.
Oh my God, we don't have tiebreakers.
We don't need a tiebreaker. We'll just enjoy it. We tied. Holy shit.
We tied. Oh.
We know each other equally.
We knew each other this week. All right, on to our mini segment. It's time for a mini segment. Starting now.
This week, our mini segment is a recommendations one. We are going to be recommending other pieces of media with athletes in them.
My first one is a comedy film from a couple years ago that I feel like got some decent buzz when it first came out, but then has since just kind of like been forgotten about. And that is Blockers from 2018. It stars Leslie Mann, John Cena, Ike Barinholtz, Katherine Newton, Geraldine Viswanathan, and Gideon Alden. And for those of you who don't know, it's basically kind of like a high school comedy that's way more involved with the parents. And it's about these 3 young women who are about to go to prom and they're about to all have sex, kind of like a switched version of American Pie, but their parents are all trying to stop them, all trying to block them the entire night. And it's one of those like gross out, really edgy humor wise, but then also has a really decent heart to it that I feel like a lot of those gross out movies just kind of forget about. So yeah, Blockers.
So my first recommendation is Moana.
Nice.
It stars, and I'm going to butcher this name, Alua Carvalho, Dwayne Johnson, and it's an adventurous teen sails out on a daring journey to save her people. I mean, you guys, this movie came out a couple of years ago. It's fantastic. Great music. I believe the music's by Lin-Manuel Miranda. It's beautiful. Like, they did the representation beautifully. They actually had Hawaiian people voicing Hawaiian people in the movie. It's really funny. It's really sweet. There's no romance in it, which is great for a Disney princess movie.
My next one is a double feature, also starring The Rock, and it is the two new Jumanji movies, Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle and The Next Level. Those came out in, I believe, like 2016 and 2019, and they star Jack Black, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Kevin Hart, and Karen Gillan, and Nick Jonas. Yeah, he's in there. He's more in the second one, but these are like, it's a great continuation / like reboot of the Jumanji series, and it's a really great update. Have you seen both of them?
I've seen the first one. I really liked it.
For those of you who don't know, it's basically the same thing as the original Jumanji, except this time it's a video game, and these 4 kids get sucked into the video game, and they must survive Jumanji in order to escape. But the way they update it for like the modern times, and like all the humor in it is just really good. The second one, the humor can get a little too much, can get like a little, like they hit the same joke a couple times too much. But other than that, they're great films. They're great kind of like action, adventure, comedy films. If you haven't seen them, go check them out. You're going to have a great time. All right, Jamie, what you got?
All right, the next one that I have is Blazing Saddles. And the athlete in that one is George Karras, who played Mongo.
I've only seen it once.
It's such a funny one. It's directed by Mel Brooks. It came out in like 1974. It's such a good movie. I love watching it. Mel Brooks movies are hilarious. That's my kind of stupid is Mel Brooks movies.
I wouldn't like those are like smart stupid movies.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's stupid, but then there's also like half the jokes. You kind of have to know some things to get them.
It's a satirical take on Westerns where a craft railroad worker, Bart, becomes the first black sheriff of Rock Ridge, a frontier town about to be destroyed in order to make way for a new railroad. And initially, the people of Rock Ridge were racist towards the new leader, but they eventually warm up to him, realizing that him and his perpetually drunk gunfighter friend, Gene Wilder, are the only defense against the wave of thugs coming through. And it's so great. Gene Wilder in this is fantastic.
You can't go wrong with Gene Wilder.
I love Blazing Saddles. Honestly, I watch it around Christmas time for some reason.
I could see that. I need to rewatch it because I haven't seen it in probably a good 5-6 years. And I probably only have seen it like a handful of times. Okay, so my next one is another comedy. It's 2019's Stuber, starring Kumail Nanjiani and Dave Bautista. I feel like this one was overlooked by a lot of people. It follows this detective who kind of like has to rope this Uber driver into like a night of like police action and adventure, and shit goes crazy. And like the whole reason why Dave Bautista needs the Uber driver is because like he just had laser eye surgery, so his eyes aren't like fully healed, so he can't drive himself, so he starts just with the Uber. And so they kind of like give like, it's a decent reason why these two are together, and like their chemistry is believable and it really works. And it's a hilarious film with like some decent action in it. It's kind of one of those films where you wouldn't expect the action to be like that action packed and like intense, but it actually is. And I feel like a lot of people just overlooked it when it came out.
I was one of those people.
Yeah, go out, find it, give it a chance. It's a great kind of relaxing comedy.
My last one isn't a movie, it's a TV show.
If it's better late than never, I'm leaving.
No, it's Brooklyn Nine-Nine with Terry Crews.
Oh yeah, I always forget he was an athlete.
You guys, if you haven't watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine, watch it. It's on Hulu. It's so funny. It's a cop show, but not like other cop shows. Jake Peralta is played by Andy Samberg. It's so funny. So many quotable lines, like It's great. It's super diverse. Like it's the most...
Title of your sex tape. It's great. It's super diverse. Title of your sex tape.
Good. So yeah, like Derek and I both love this show.
My last one is, again, another newer comedy. A lot of these came out fairly recently, but it's 2018's Uncle Drew. I feel like this one really flew under a lot of people's radars.
Yeah, I haven't even heard of it.
So basically, it's just this comedy about a man's dream to win like a street ball tournament in Harlem. And like he recruits all these like old timers to like help them, people who used to play street ball. But like all of those guys that he recruits are actually like professional basketball players in real life. Like it's Kyle Irving, Shaquille O'Neal, Chris Webber, just a bunch of people. And then it also has, you know, comedians in it as well, like JB Smoove, Tiffany Haddish, Nick Kroll. It's a really, really, really stupid, but like fun, stupid movie. I remember when Katie and I went to see it, the whole theater, like people were just busting up laughing. It was kind of annoying because there were a bunch of like teenagers running around, but like just the type of movie it was, we really didn't care just because it's like, who cares? This is a dumb movie. So we just sat back and enjoyed it. And it's fun to watch these like basketball players in old man makeup, just like, like wreck shop on the court. So yeah, if you haven't seen Uncle Drew, go check it out one like drunken Friday night.
Well, those were our recommendations for some movies that have athletes turned actors in them. So go and check them out. There's some really good suggestions there.
Yep, which means it's time for our minigame. Step on down to the DJ. Minigame minute. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yes.
So my game this week is, where's that quote from? For those of you who don't know, I'm going to read some quotes. Jamie's going to guess where they're from. I've got 4 quotes from 3 different movies. So Jamie, let me know what quote you want. 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Give me 2.
2. Okay. Oh, and just a heads up. These are all movies with athletes turned actors in them. All right. So number 2. There are 2 types of beings in the universe. Those who dance and those who do not.
Have I seen it?
Yeah. Yes, you have.
Give me quote number 3.
Number 3. You are horrifying to look at. Yes, but that's a good thing.
I know these lines.
Here's a hint. There's a movie I wanted to suggest, but you had seen it. That's how I know you've seen it. Probably not. We've done enough episodes and talked about
We're at episode
stuff.
12. There's a lot of suggestions we haven't done.
You want another quote?
Yeah. Give me 4.
I was hoping you'd say this one. Ow! My nipples!
Give me 1.
He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy.
Oh, fuck. That one is so... I know that one.
Oh, I thought that one was going to give it away. It's a sequel.
Is it Daddy's Home 2?
No.
Ah, fuck. Because John Cena's in that one. Give me a hint. What athlete actor is it?
Dave Bautista.
Oh, fuck. Who's Dave Bautista? I don't know.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh, see, I was thinking like maybe it's one of those, but just the dancing and everything, like I knew the line. I just was not placing it in that kind of movie. Fuck.
Number 2. What do you want?
I mean, number 1.
I'm going to have to read a little bit of this, like stage management stuff so you can kind of get it. Bill Murray enters. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't know Dan Aykroyd was in this picture. That line is not said by Bill Murray, by the way.
Give me number 4.
Okay. This is a big one. This is a long quote. And if you don't get it,
I'm going to be mad at myself.
A little bit. Why? I thought you'd never ask. See, these aliens come from outer space. They want us to make us their slaves in the theme park. What do you care? They're little, so we challenge them to a basketball game. But then they show up and they ain't so little. They're huge. We need to beat these guys because they're talking about slavery. They're going to make us do stand-up comedy. The same jokes every night for all eternity. We're going to be locked up like wild animals and then trotted out to perform for a bunch of low-bar, bug-eyed, fat-headed, humor-challenged aliens. And what I'm trying to say is, we need your help!
That was beautiful.
Do you know what it is? Yeah, Space Jam.
Yeah.
I was hoping you weren't going to say that one.
You just didn't want to say the quote, and you chose it.
I did. I knew it gives it away because it's just the plot of Space Jam. Would you have gotten this one? Come on, Michael, it's game time. Get your Hanes on, lace up your Nikes, grab your Wheaties and your Gatorade, and we'll pick up a Big Mac on the way to the ballpark.
Probably.
And then the other one was from Daffy Duck. But Mommy, I don't want to go to school today. I want to stay home and bake cookies with you.
No, I wouldn't have gotten it with that.
I wanted you to have that one because I just wanted to throw you off. I feel like the Dan Aykroyd one probably threw off you a little bit too.
Yeah, really off.
That's in the middle of the game when Bill Murray comes running in out of nowhere, and then the main bad alien guy is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't know Dan Aykroyd was in this picture. All right, last one. 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Let's start off with 4.
Number 4. No, I was born of the sea. I eat fire coral and piss salt water. I scratch my back with a whale's dick and loop from my chest with its ball sack.
Is it a comedy?
Yes.
Okay.
Some probably don't think it's funny. So I don't know if you've seen this film. I don't like this film. I thought you really liked this film. And then when I was talking to Katie about it, she's like, I'm not sure if Jamie does like this. She's like, I really like this film. I'm like, oh, shit. Okay, well, I'm going to keep it and we're just going to see what happens. So here we go, seeing what happens.
Give me number 3.
Number 3. Everything that you guys are talking about sounds like a really, entertaining but far-fetched TV show.
No, 2.
There's no I in team. There is a me. Are you dyslexic? I'm Caucasian?
I definitely haven't seen this movie. What is 1?
Why does she always look like she's running in slow-mo?
Is it Baywatch?
It is Baywatch.
Okay, I have seen that movie once, a long time, like literally when it came out.
Okay, yeah.
Literally the only one that gave it away was the first quote.
Yep.
Or the last one that you said, quote number one.
Yeah, number one. The first one was said by The Rock. All the other ones were said by Zac Efron. It's great. All right, on to your game.
That was good. I'm terrible at those. So we learned. My game is Mad Gab. And oh my God, it was so hard to do this.
It's so much fun. I'm ready.
Okay, so Mad Gab, everyone should know. If you don't, I'm texting Derek a phrase that I have done that sounds like a movie title. And the movie titles are movies with athlete actors in them. So Derek, I am going to send this phrase to you. You are going to immediately read it out loud and tell me what you think it is.
Got it. Strep incest pride. The Princess Bride.
Yeah, you did that really quick. I was hoping the incest was going to throw you off.
You wanted to hear me say incest a lot.
I did. All right. Number 2. This one might be a little tougher. Matt couldn't get this one, but I don't think he's seen this movie.
Jail your oolong conch. 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 I have no freaking idea what this is.
It's 3 words.
Jail or oolong conch.
Say it slower.
Jail your oolong conch. Am I pronouncing conch the right way? Or
yes.
should it be conch? Because sometimes it's pronounced conch.
Conch.
No, it's conch? Conch, okay.
We have talked about this when we were figuring out movies for this episode.
Ah, fuck.
Hint. It has a person from Better Late Than Never in it.
Okay, Terry Bradshaw was in this movie, wasn't it?
Yes.
I have no clue what movies Terry Bradshaw was in.
What is the first 2 words? Those are one word. Jail your.
That's one word?
That's one word.
Jail. Jewelry?
No.
Jeweler?
No, it doesn't start with a J.
What? How does... Jail or oolong conch.
Do you want me to just tell you?
Yes,
or do you want help
it?
Figuring it out?
No, what is it? Jail or oolong conch?
Failure to launch.
Oh, failure oolong conch.
Matt couldn't get that.
I was thinking "j." I was thinking "j" or "g" for the first sound, not "f."
I know, but it's so hard to make these.
I know, it's not easy.
What was I going to put? Fail?
Yeah,
Failure? No.
You could.
All right, last one. Not as easy as number 1. Easier than number 2.
Space quench era det effective. Space quench era det effective. Space quench era det effective. Ace Ventura Pet Detective.
Yes!
All right, so I was pretty good on 2 of them, except that your middle one really threw me off.
Those were hard to make.
They are, but they're fun to make, though. Oh, I might bring up that game in another episode or 2.
Yeah.
I want to do that one now. It's fun. It's not so fun when you're in the hot seat over here trying to think of it.
I know. You sound like an idiot saying it over and over again.
Exactly. Well, cool. That's our show of us being idiots. That is our show of us being idiots. This episode we reviewed Better Late Than Never and Kazam. Normally we remind you of the winner, but we don't have a winner this week because we both tied. We're both equal.
Winners.
Or we're both losers, however you want to look at it.
I'm still shocked that it took 12 episodes for us to get a tie.
I was going to say, I feel like there's enough variation in our rating system. That's why I like the 3 separate categories. I feel like if it was just one, we'd be tying a lot.
I know. We like to end our shows with reading a review. So my good friend Claire, she left us a review saying, listening to I Know You with Derek and Jamie is the best. It's literally like my best friends are in the car with me and I always yell out my opinions, but they can't hear me. I think that's so funny because that is 100% what she does. She texted me. She's like, I keep trying to tell you guys what I think and you're on a podcast, so you can't hear me.
I mean, I do that anyway with the podcast I'm listening to. I'll literally pause them and be like, okay, here's where they're wrong. And even if there's no one else with me, I'll just like speak out loud my opinions and thoughts, and then I'll hit play again and like, Okay, you guys can get back in.
If you guys want to leave us a review, do it on Apple Podcasts, leave us a review on Instagram, leave us a review on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and maybe next episode you'll hear your review.
Yes, like you saying, you can write to us at iknowyoudjpodcast@gmail.com or at our Instagram at iknowyoupod or at Jamie's Instagram at Jamie Dura or mine at Big Freaking Geek.
And we like to let you know what movies we're watching next episode. The movies are Maleficent 2 and Christmas Carol, the 2009 version. Both of these are on Disney+. So let us know who you think suggested what and what your ratings are.
As always, we post our podcast every other Tuesday, so remember to come back and listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you so much for listening to I Know You with Derek and Jamie. Until next time, I'm Derek.
I'm Jamie.
Bye.
Oh.
That's our show. It's time to go. Bye-bye.